So a little bit of chop central still here with BTC. We're sitting at 58.5 and people are wondering what is going on and what is the next play. Well, guys, I've got 8 signs here for you that I think I can tell the future as to what is going to be happening with BTC. So there's a little bit of action here for you guys, and you're going to see my reasoning behind all of this. Then I've got a special guest here from 𝗕𝗟𝗣𝗥. He's going to tell us what the magical weekly pivots are doing for us, where we are on the monthlies, and we've got 2 setups, one of which I've actually just taken along on now. So you need to stick around because he's going to take us through this exact setup. Then I've got 3 banging altcoin setups that are looking like we're going to get some entries in the next few hours. So lots to talk about here today, guys. Let's get right into this. And as always, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you like the content, even if you don't like the content, hit the like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. Remember, you're here to look after the man. Look at him. He's in his goggles here. He's the likes bouncer. And he is in charge of everything here. And remember, I've got a special guest sitting in the back here there. Look at that. He's ready to go. And he's got some crypto banter signs behind him there. Okay, let's take a look at banter bubbles here. And look at this ray. I can't help but notice Celestia, 6.9% underwater there. Nice and big. And look at Lido, -4. And Tao, -5. So overall, a bit of a mess. But the shining light in the middle. XRP here to save us. 1.8% up. And and Tron, look at Tron. We're talking Tron today. I've got Tron for you guys. We're going to take a look at this. I haven't charted Tron in a hell of a long time. So looking forward to doing a little bit of Tron action here. But overall, I would say this is a relatively red day. And you might have noticed if you're sitting in altcoin positions, you're also now drifting into some interesting areas. So we got a couple of entries here for you guys. So stick around. I've got 3 that are 3 absolute bangers. I'm definitely going to be taking one of them. And there's one I've just entered here. And this man is going to start telling you all about it in a couple of minutes. So stick around and let's see if that one is going to start playing out for us. So let's get into the juice. BTC on the 4-hour. This is what we like. This is how we like to start. And this gives us our direction here in the next couple of hours. So this is what I always like to dial into. This is the first thing I look at in the mornings, try and get my head around what is exactly happening here in the market. And for me, it's relatively clear with what is going on here for me. 57,500. You can see this is a hot zone I highlighted yesterday on the show that I did on the main channel. And here we are, 57.5, just looking for this little dip into the zone. Why is this interesting for me? Number one, I've got a 382 big pool here. I've got the anchored VWAP. I've got the horizontals, and I've got a rising trend in place. So for me, this is a potential long that I'm looking for on BTC if we dip into this region. Now, for me, it's anywhere in this zone. I'm not trying to hit it to the exact dollar, but for me, 57.5 down to, say, roughly 57.100, somewhere in that region for me is where it's at. That is what I'm looking for, a little bounce in that area. Then a little bit lower down, if that region doesn't hold for us, we can see we do have a wick that we need to deal with, and there is some liquidity here that they might want to come and grab. So my extreme low then for any dips further is going to be 55,830. So looking for that as my secondary little bounce area. So those are the big ones for me, looking for some longs. If we do start kicking on from here, no real changes at the moment for me. It's 59.5 as it has been for a hell of a long time while we've been watching BTC chop around. 59.5, a little bit higher up. You can see we've got our nice horizontals here, anything from 61K up to 62K. That is a big block for us. So any pushes into that zone most likely are going to get shorted again. Guys are going to try and send this one a little bit lower. So looking out, big levels here for us to watch. This is what you need to do for the next 24 hours. That is what I've got my eyes on. Preparing for war says he's already long. Too risky not to be. Look, I tend to agree. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons here today as to why I agree with this. And we're going to deal with this. So you guys are going to feeling like you're going to be feeling super bullish after this chat we're about to have. And I'm not even going to be covering news today. I'm actually going to just jump right into this stuff. And because there's a lot of tweets that I want to take you guys through. So number one, let's start with this. Okay, Cozy the caller. He dropped this one earlier today. He dropped this one yesterday. Okay, this was dropped yesterday. And a great point this guy is making. He's given you a list of things, okay, that are pretty bullish. Now, I wanted to go through this list for you, and I wanted to actually add to this list, okay, to tell you guys why I think we are teeing up for some kind of north-sided move here on BTC. I don't think it's going to be a big push to the downside. So number one, okay, Cozy the caller, he says to us, the ETFs keep buying. Okay, great. We know about that. Okay, so yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at the Lord of Entry. I update the ETF flow pretty regularly, 2-3 times a week. You can follow me there at the Lord of Entry. You can see. So the ETFs, they are adding, they keep on buying. Okay, that is bullish. Number one. Number two, elections. What happens with markets in general leading into elections? We tend to get some pumpage. Okay, so elections, you can watch the election countdown timer. Look at this, 77 days to go. That's pretty bullish for us in general. If we look at history and what happens to the markets in election years, we know, okay, we've ticked 2 boxes here. What is the next one? He's saying funding rate hitting record negative numbers. Bang, we dealt with that last night. And the last time we saw a chart like this, BTC ran up 160%. The last time we saw the funding rates looking like this, look at this down here. This was October 2023. Look at that. Look at these negative funding rates. Here they are currently. The last time we saw this situation, BTC did 160% move. So that is locked in and loaded. Stocks pushing all-time highs. Yes, we know about that. Look at this S&P. It's an absolute beast. This thing is ripping, and this thing looks like it's an absolute freight train, not ready to stop yet. And what else we got? We got all-time low Bitcoin on exchanges. We know that. And let's see if we got this one. We got our supply on exchanges. Look at this thing at all-time lows. When BTC is not on exchanges, generally that means guys want to be holding this stuff. Remember, if they're sending it to exchanges, that is often a sign that somebody is teeing up to start selling BTC. And now we are sitting at record lows on exchanges. Okay, this thing is just, look at this chart. I mean, this is insane what is going on here. Then what else do we have here for you guys? We got total leverage in the market at lows. We've got global money supply is increasing. Let's take a look at this. Marty Party, what is he telling us? Global liquidity is moving up super fast. Do it yourself in TradingView. He's actually told you guys how to grab this little chart, and you can see global money supply. This thing is cooking. Okay, this thing is pushing hard, and that is a massive sign naturally for the markets. And then we all know the Fed are cutting their rates. Okay, in September, we know about this. And let's add to this list. What else do I have? I've got the fear and greed at levels last seen when BTC was at 30K. Okay, that's pretty bullish in my view. And what else do we have? I've got another one here. We've got the Fed fund rates. Okay, we know what happens here. Look at this chart. And this is Cryptos Are Us. They say, look at 2020 after the Fed fund rate was cut. Look at Bitcoin's movement. So let's take a look here. 2020, what happened when they cut the rates over here in 2020? We had some pumpage there out of BTC. And right now we are drifting into this area here where they're potentially going to start trimming these rates. Is this thing going to start pumping higher? So that is another big one there for us to pay attention to. And then the big one that the guys are talking about today. Now, this is still unconfirmed, but we've seen Justin Sun making comments about it as well, the Tron man. And we can see Blockchain Daily reporting that China will unban crypto in coming days following pressure from pro-crypto policies in the US election. Now, remember, if the US is now turning pro-crypto, maybe it's time for China to start waking up with their side of things. So that actually makes sense that this could be a play for us. So all of these factors point to, a lot of pumpage, a fair amount of pumpage in the market. So, for me overall, I'm finding it very difficult to be bearish in these types of conditions. When wherever you're looking, there's information here in front of us telling us that in the past, when we get these types of things, we do get some kind of pumpage out of BTC. Ray, how are you feeling? Are you feeling a little bit bullish here? Are we feeling a little bit bearish?
I'm a little scalp long. Bullish.
I'm talking about global money supply. I'm talking about elections.
I'm super bullish on that.
I'm talking about rate cuts.
Long term we're bullish. I thought you meant today.
We're not looking at 3-minute candles, bro. We're looking at high time frame, bigger stuff. And look, overall,
2 and 3x leverage.
Can't be bearish.
Position, for sure.
We can't be bearish yet. What I do have for you guys, though, something interesting. I got something else to add to this list. Okay, so we got more than 8. We've got more than 9 signs. I got something else. We spoke about this yesterday. The moons. Okay, now we're talking about the moons. We know charting and stuff is astrology for men, but imagine you can throw in the moon cycle as well and hit some more astrology. So here you can see we've got a nice little gray moon opening. So this is a little new moon, and let's just see how this moon situation plays out. Let's just go back in time. Let's just look at a few examples. Okay, so here's one over here. November 23, we had the gray moon print. What did we do? We sent it up. December 23, gray moon, sent it up. January 24, sent it up. February 24, sent it up. Okay, so it was a bullish couple of months. Then we had March 2024. What did we do here? Sent it up. And April 24, that was a fail. That was a proper fail. And then May 22nd of May 24, a little bit sent it up. Okay, that's cool. Then we had a failure here in June. Wasn't great. Okay, mini pump. Then they killed us. Then what did we get here? We got a small little move up there. So relative success. Okay, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 2 failed. 7 were successful when we had the gray moon print. So that's relatively bullish. That's, pretty decent odds here that this gray little moon might start playing in our favor. So maybe it does look something like this, a little dip into one of these regions here and then a little push higher. But still, it's something to watch. We've got the stats there. And if we've had 2 out of 9 of these gray moons fail, the odds are up. The odds are up for me. So looking pretty good there at the moment. But I've got another man who can tell the future here. And he loves telling the future. Now, he claims that it's the first indicator that actually is not, it's not a leading indicator. No, it's a leading indicator. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, he's the man. Okay. He can actually tell the future. Good day, sir.
How are you?
This is Powerfriend. You guys would have met him last Monday, and I've told him we need to make this a regular situation here. We want to hear about these pivots. We want to know what is going on from 𝗕𝗓𝗄𝗓, because that often helps my sentiment as well for where we are heading in the market. So, Power.
Each week.
What are we seeing today? I'm feeling bullish. You can see all these signs that I've pushed out. So, what are we looking at here?
Absolutely. Well, this is the first narrow pivot on BTC we've had in about 5 weeks. Which is quite bullish for everybody. If I zoom out to the daily, you can see we've had fairly wide pivots all the way along. Last narrow pivot we had was back in June 13th. Since then, it's been wide. This week we finally have a super narrow pivot on the BTC. When the bot printed off the narrows, I thought it was there by accident because I hadn't seen it in so long. So that is a bullish sign for sure. We are just waiting for BTC to actually just come above that weekly pivot. We're hoping in the next, as you mentioned, next couple hours, if it breaks that weekly pivot and we get a retest above the weekly, that's a super bullish side. It should coincide with coming above the daily pivot. Remember, we see these things at 8 p.m. or the daily candle close, 8 p.m. Eastern or 00 UTC on Sunday nights, and then we watch from there. My list here, which we'll go over a couple later, you can see we had some crazy calls right at the beginning of our pivot party for upwards of 19% moves. So okay, so we're looking at this BTC. So just give us an explanation here for those of the guys that have no idea what a pivot is. Okay, so just in summary, basically you get daily pivots, you get weekly pivots, you get monthly pivots. They give you a trend direction for the day. They give you a trend direction for the week. They give you a trend direction for the month. Okay, right.
What is the significance of a very tight pivot here?
It's a compression in the market. As the token is traveling through the previous day, previous week, it's creating compression. The mathematics in it is very simple. It's the previous week low, previous week high, and the previous week close. Same with the day, previous day high, low, and close divided by 3. Very simple math, and it just basically shows compression in the market. Once you start to see compression, you start to see a reason for an expanded breakout. So we don't know direction, but we do justify those directions based on where price is at the time. Price is below the weekly, we're looking to go short. Above the weekly, we go long. When it's in the middle of the pivot, we're waiting for that confirmation. And right now, we're looking like we're trending upwards out of that pivot.
Okay, so we've got a new fresh weekly pivot above the previous week's pivot. So that is, I'm assuming that is a good sign. And as far as traders are concerned, if we get a close above this new fresh weekly pivot, we're looking for longs. If we get a close below, we're looking for shorts. Would that be a fair assessment?
Correct. Absolutely correct. You get a confirmation candle coming below, you dip below and then retest off the weekly. We're going to go short. You're going to short it down to the S1 around 56 as your first target. But if we can get above it and we get a good confirmation candle above that, then we're going long. First target being 61, which is that big barrier that everybody's talking about. And we break that 61. Well, then we're in new conditions. That's a distinct change in the trend of the market.
Okay, so we're looking for a 1 hour candle close above your weekly pivot. That looks like about 58,800, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that sort of region there.
58.9. Yeah, 59. Call it 59,000 to be square.
Okay. Candle close 59K on the 1 hour could be a long trigger. Now, I've taken a long because I saw a tight pivot on one of the charts we discussed. Can I take you through this? Let's go through this. And if there is, if there is a trade on here for everybody, let's see if we can get you guys in it. So the first one that I'm looking at here was Spell. And I've pulled up the daily and the weekly pivots here. You can see it's in front of me. And I've taken a long here. Do you want to talk us through this and just talk about the logic here behind this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, zooming out to going on the 1 hour, you looking at the weekly pivot, price began above the weekly pivot, which is obviously super bullish. We had on the 1 hour, we also had the Morningstar candle there and over Morningstar formation, but price bounced off that weekly and started to make its way up. Already hit target 1, which is the support 1, resistance 1 on the weekly, with a super narrow. He came down through the daily and has retested the daily and bounced. Ideally, all of our entries, we always want to see it, make its way up and then get that retest on the daily pivot before we go for the true long. If you'd caught it coming out of the weekly last night, you'd have been great. But as you caught it this morning, it was just coming off that daily pivot on the retest, and that's a perfect entry.
Okay, so I've longed Spell here on this, pretty much on this level. Here I am. I'm long Spell here on ZoomX currently. You can see here is the position, and my entry price is 5234 at the moment. And that's roughly where we are sitting at the moment. So I've also just banged out some of my regular TA, and I'm loving the fact that this weekly pivot is so tight on the 618 fib. I mean, that does excite me a little bit. Look at that. We got that 618 in play, which I love to use as support. So for me, my game plan here on this thing is exit points. For me, I'm looking at about a 2.7% stop from this current region. And for me, that would be a close under the 618 fib and now a close under your weekly pivot here. Is that a fair stop zone?
I was just showing it on my screen. I just used the long tool to set that up myself. That's exactly the move. We want to hide when possible. You want to hide under a pivot. There are significant points of support and resistance. So if you've entered your trade and you can hide underneath an additional pivot, whether it be the daily as your first point, but since we're so close with the daily and the weekly, you want to hide it just underneath the weekly. If you break the weekly, clearly, it invalidates your trade. You don't want to be losing any more money. Just get out of it. And as far as the long, we had already hit and cleared out whatever liquidity was sitting here up at 5378, which was the weekly R1. It's going to come back through that. There's going to be a lot less to stop it. So you could see yourself pumping right through that into about 5653, which would be the daily R3.
Okay. Nice one. So look, my basic strategy here is if this thing does start turning green and does start pushing a little bit higher, I'm going to start de-risking then pretty quickly. So if we start drifting higher here relatively fast, I'd say if we start clearing this sort of region over there, then I'm going to start raising my stop. I want to de-risk this trade as quickly as possible. And then make sure we can bank some profits. So there's the game plan now. Spell traders, if you're looking for this one, your stop is going to be under 5115. So close under that 5115. In fact, I would say slightly lower there. Look at 5089. Okay, so that is my game plan there. 5089. If we close underneath that, then I am bailing. Then I'm cutting that position, and that would be a loss of trend. That would be a loss of 618. That would be a loss of the weekly pivot. So there's a hell of a lot of things then going against us there on that one. So lovely. Right. Okay, and the other one I've got here is GRT. And let's take a look at this one. So are we waiting for some action here? What is the game plan on this? This is GRT on the 1 hour that I've got in front of you. And I can see a very tight weekly and daily.
GRT tapped the daily. If you're looking at you don't have resistance showing on your. So in the Easy Algo, I'm not sure if you know in the settings, there is support and resistance indicators, which are a big part of when we're trading this, to be able to look at it, because the compression and the resistance and support is very key to what we're looking at the end of the day as well. If you see on the daily, it just front run that daily support one and then made its way back up, which again is bullish. We didn't have to make it all the way down to support. It pulled it up. And now it's just tapped above the weekly, which is again bullish. And right now, if you actually zoom in on if you're on the 5 minute,
5 minutes,
you'll see you're just retesting the daily pivot right now with some great candles coming up. Okay. You had a bearish engulfing there, and then now you are just breaking the daily. So this, if you were entering again, same scenario. You're looking for target 1 being the daily R1, and then daily R2 for your second target. Daily R2 being a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. Stop, you would want to put just underneath that last red doji on the 5, so you can come down pretty much where that swing was, right about there. If you break that, because you've got a higher low, so you want to be under the recent higher low, because if you break that higher low, clearly you want to invalidate the trade and get out of it.
Okay, so you're watching this little candle over here at 1395, that guy. Okay,
you got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
There, nice little scalp setup. I mean, this is 5-minute stuff. This is full degen vibes here, but you guys get the gist of it. You get the picture as to what's going on. I see Ray's been playing around with 𝗕𝗓𝗓 as well, so I know that he's added it to some of his trades that he is using at the moment. But there you go.
The best way to deal with 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓 when you're first starting off, guys, is keep your strategy and add it as a tool until you become much more comfortable with it and understanding of it. So you keep doing what you do and add it as a tool.
If you notice on my chart, I have on the left side the 1 hour time frame, on the right hand the 5-minute time frame. The step-by-step simple easy algo method for Trendx is we use a higher time frame bias on the 1 hour and we enter on the 5-minute candles with candle confirmation. Those aren't just scalps. We're just being able to get those precise entries so we can apply existing or higher leverage and much shorter stop losses, so we have less risk. Those scalps become swing trades. You can still enter with full positions. We train everybody 25% of your portfolio you can place on that trade. But with a tight enough stop, using our proper leverage calculator, you're only risking 2% of your account at any given time. So even though it looks like degen playing at the 5-minute, the reality is these are actually swing trades. But you have to boil it all the way down to get the precise entry.
So they can turn into really big, powerful trades in the end if you're prepared to hold on them. Yeah, so if this thing starts firing. Now, guys, there's a couple of ways you can get some easy algo action. There is a link in the description of the show. So you're just going to go into the show description. You'll see easy algo over there. Alternatively, they are kind enough to share some easy algo source in the Sniper Club as well. So Sniper Club members, you do automatically get a little bit of access to some easy algo things. Today, Power dropped the weekly pivots of some of the hot tokens that he's watching, and they've committed to giving us how many trades a week? 1.
We will start with 1, and we'll give you the FOMO, or I should have got in on Thursday night. We'll show you the results of the 10 tokens we picked on Sunday, and you're like, I should have listened. I should have joined on Monday.
Okay, cool. And then jump into the show description if you guys want a piece of it. Let me just show you where that is. I've got the whole list here underneath. So just go into the show description. There it is. You'll see easy algo there is right at the top for you guys today. So ready to go. Click on that. And there is there a trial period?
Absolutely. Go ahead and click that. You'll see 3-day free trial right on your landing page. As well as if you're a member of Sniper Club, in the post I dropped last night, I reminded everybody 20% discount if you're a Sniper Club member. You can get it on the 3-day free trial and get a 20% discount going forward.
Okay. Power, thank you. Okay, let's hope this spell trade kicks off. We'll see you again next Monday, hopefully with some more setups and things like that. Thanks for joining. Loving your background, by the way. Loving it.
A lot of people don't realize Easy Algo is a crypto banter company. So I figured this will pretty much point it out. Yes, we are crypto banter. Get involved.
Nice. Okay. Later. See you later. Okay, guys, let's get into a couple of things. So number 1, I've got some setups teed up for you. Okay, we understand where we are. Let's just confirm. We understand where we are with Spell. We understand where we are with GRT. You can see the game plan. You can see what we need to do. Now, let's jump into a couple of things here. Now, we want to just tackle ETH again, okay? The paint is drying, and the paint is drying slowly with ETH. But we can't deny, and I wanted to use this today as an opportunity to tell you in general, okay, these altcoins, they've had a dump, okay, they've had a nice little bounce, and now some of them are moving into DCA zones again. These are spot buyers, areas of interest. These are the zones you're looking at. If you're trying to add to your portfolio, you're trying to build these types of things, there's only 3 areas for me right now where you can buy some of these altcoins. Number 1 was the 382 retest that you've seen on many alts. Then it's the 618, and then it's on the revisit to the double bottom. So for me, the double bottom in ETH is naturally going to be this 2,100 test again. Nice little DCA zone. But for me, if this market is going to bounce, okay, if the market's going to remain bullish, I would expect a bounce at one of these areas. Okay, one of these areas for me to play out. Now, naturally, my bias is bullish. You've seen 9 reasons why I believe the market should be trending up. And, that is how I'm basing my current game plan. That is how I'm currently trading the situation. So for me, it's DCA buys for ETH, for example, 2.5, 2.350, 2,100. Those are where you're adding to your portfolio. If the market does rip off one of these things and then absolutely sends it, well, at least you've banked a couple of buys in those zones. So remember, there's multiple ways you can store your tokens. You can store them on exchanges. We obviously don't recommend that. You can store them on MetaMask and things like that. And you can store them on things like Ledger. Now, Ledger have partnered with Banter to give you guys an exclusive discount on their products. So the Ledger Flex is the latest big one that they are talking about. Here is the Ledger Flex. You can see on the right-hand side. And if you're buying this Ledger here using the links in the description, they're giving you $10 free BTC. Now, they've got a lot of tech here. This thing has come a long way since the original little Nano S Plus. You can see this thing's got a touch screen on it. It's customizable. You got Bluetooth access, all these types of things going on there. So take a look. There's a link in the description there for you guys. If you want to store, if you are DCAing, you want to know where you're going to keep your coins and those types of things, these guys support 5,000 tokens. Okay, that's a ton of shit coins that these guys are supporting. So there is a link for you guys in the description there, and go and grab that. You get $10 free BTC if you do buy it using one of these links. Okay, let's get into some more setup. So 𝗧𝗍, you must send now. This 𝗧𝗍 must rip, and I'm trading this one on ZoomX. So let's see. We'll keep you guys posted on that. And let's start with Solana. This is number 1 that I'm watching, and I've dialed into Sol here on the 4-hour. And looking for a couple of things. So yesterday, we did look at Sol in depth, okay? And I think we all agreed yesterday. We had a massive resistance band here in front of us. So things are not super easy here for Solana traders at the moment, especially guys looking for big moves. You've got huge resistance here in front of us at 155. Anything down to about 149 is a massive resistance band. So we just need to understand what is ahead of us. Let's see what type of pivots we've got here in front of us. You can see we've got the monthly pivot. That is the red. Also pushing higher there at 154.9, that sort of region. So we know we've got big resistance in front of us. If we do dial in, though, I did see a nice little weekly pivot here. Let's see what this is looking like here. Maybe if Powerfriend is still here, maybe he can give us his little opinion. Quickly, talk to me. Quickly.
What are we looking at? Sol?
Sol. What do you think?
SOL USDT.B. Let me take a look.
This is the 1 hour that I've got here.
This is on the fly. What do we got?
Yeah.
1 hour weekly pivot is much more narrow than previous week. You had it looks like break of structure on the hourly. You're coming into it. If we pop above that previous high 147. You're getting a break of structure there. Your currently price is above or in the middle of the pivot. You get confirmation above the weekly. Looking for the long. You're coming just above the daily, which is good. And yeah, so basically, if we can get past the daily R1, which will put us above the weekly R1, take your longs off the weekly pivot, and away you go. Target would be between 147 and 150.
So where do you want this candle close? The long
you want to see again same scenario on that hourly. The Trendex formula is pretty simple. We do have that's a good candle pattern right there. You see this hourly candle close above the weekly, above the weekly pivot, and you're at that point your price is going to be breaking through just above the daily. You can enter right here. This is watch for it. You get a confirmation candle above the daily, take the shot. Go for it. There you go.
And you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So Easy Algo gives you an opportunity to take a few shots. Power, I'm glad you stuck around there. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Okay, let's get back into this. So Sol, you can see what's going on here. Very tight weekly pivot here. So that is of interest to us. Okay, naturally BTC can come and absolutely ruin the party and rinse us all completely. But we do have a good sign. We've got BTC trying to take that weekly pivot. We've got Solana trying to take that weekly pivot. So this is a great start here for us. And if you are looking to nibble into something, my caution here naturally is the size of the resistance in front of us. So just understand there's a ton in the way here for Solana. So you heard Power's targets there. He was talking 147 and 148, I believe he was talking about. So that for me is a tiny little pop into this type of region here. Then you're looking for that rejection. Now anything can happen after that. Okay, so let's say if you want to fire up a little Sol trade here, you can use yesterday's lows. Okay, no, this is this morning's lows, 140.4. That is a support zone number one that you can start looking at. Then you can use the weekly pivot low. Okay, that is sitting at 142.7. So that's for higher leverage traders. So option number one is 140.4. Option number two is 142.7. You can use that region there as potential support. But what I would suggest here, look for this little break, most likely a rejection off that 200-day MA, and then the real trade can come a little bit later there on some kind of retest if we do get that little rejection there. So I'd be watching this 144 region pretty closely now on Solana, while BTC is looking a little bit bullish here. And we want to just blow this trend. So Sol looking okay for now. Let's see how this is going to play out. For me, big resistance here ahead of us. And then 162, again, another big area there for us. So once we start blowing through all these types of areas, then we can get super bullish on Sol and start calling 200, 220, those types of things. But right now, there's a massive wall in front of Solana that tells me that they're going to try and reject this thing as much as possible. So just be cautious up there. That's all I want to say. Okay, let's go. A couple of other tokens that I've got for you. TON is one of them as well. I just saw Crypto Jack posting a chart on TON. He's talking about a rising wedge and things like that. So I thought, well, let's take a look and see what is happening currently with TON. I've got a slightly different perspective, but overall, I am bullish on TON. I think TON has got a great, fundamentally, it's looking great. It's a great project, and I do think it's got a lot of upside in the future. Right now, we can see TON on my chart here on the 4 hour is sitting at a little bit of resistance here. So just wanted to point this out. We did touch on this one slightly last night on the Sniper Club live session, but we do have big resistance here. We've got big horizontals in the way. We've also got a trend in the way. We've got a 618 in the way. We've got the 50-day MA in the way. We've got the 100-day moving average in the way. So a lot in front of TON at the moment. A lot of resistance here. Anything up to about 7.08, 7.1, big resistance band here for TON, and potentially a little bit double toppy. So if we do flip this thing over and you just play this as a typical trend break here, you can see we've broken this trend, we've come back, we've retested, and now we've bounced. So we just need to watch what goes on in this type of region here. Where does this thing start falling over? So that is what we're going to be watching now on TON. And, spot buys and things like that. If you're holding spot, naturally, there's no issues here. I'm looking at this from a potential leverage perspective and, where this thing can go. And right now, just be cautious. We are at possible resistance here. If this thing does reject nicely, the next bounce zone for me is 6.27. Looking for a move here, 6.27. You can see we've got the anchored VWAP as well, pushing higher into that zone. And then a little bit lower down, 5.66. So simple little game plan here for leverage traders. That is where, I would be looking for potential bounces here on TON and potential moves there from that respect. But right now, a little bit of resistance here. Exercise caution. When we do blow higher eventually, let's say this thing starts ripping, we can always find a new trade later on. Okay, we can always find that new trade when it comes back and starts testing great support and things like that. But right now, it's great resistance. So just be a little bit cautious there on TON. And naturally, the spot guys and those type of things, if you've been DCAing now in these levels, the 618s, the 382s, and things like that, you are on. You are great. And, we're looking for moves higher. It's short-term, higher leverage traders. Those are the guys you need to be a little bit careful. And let's pull out some Tron here. And I see Jason Bourne says his short is in. Jason Bourne is in the house. And I'm assuming he's shorting BTC. He's sending it to 49K. And let's see. That is a nice little area. That's the double bottom lows that we are looking at potentially. And look out. If BTC is going to go there, 49K. Make sure you're watching dominance very closely, because if some of these altcoins start dumping, we're going to be looking for those double bottoms. But if this dominance is ripping, we might be printing some new lows for some of these alts. So make sure you've got one eye on dominance at all times if you are heading down to that 49K target. Okay, here is Tron on the weekly. Now, I haven't looked at this thing. I haven't looked at this thing in ages. I look at this thing about as much as I look at BNB. And you can see what's going on here. Tron is now pushing on the weekly, pushing into a major resistance band. Ray, what's the story with Tron? Why is this thing ripping other than that people use it to send money around?
Also, BNB is ripping also. So something's going on with exchanges.
Okay, something is cooking. Okay, something's cooking.
Happening,
okay, so Tron. Okay, if you like Tron, it's looking super bullish here. on the weekly. Okay, so we can see we've got, I mean, you can even argue some kind of cup and handle situation here as well, looking nice and bullish. So for me, I think Tron's going to cook. I think this thing's going to break these levels. I think this thing is going to start pushing. So I'd watch these all-time highs here, the 17 level, 17 to 18 sort of level, and this thing is looking super bullish here. Let's just see what type of move we could get out of this thing. Another 24%. Okay, so it's not amazing. Okay, there's 24% left here on Tron before it gets some kind of major rejection. So let's see if it blows this current region, the 0.14. Let's see if we can get through this. So if we can just break through, this is now the 12-hour. We just want to start breaking through here. If we can get to that level, then we're on. There's another 24% coming there on Tron. Right now we are at resistance, so you're exercising caution. You look out. If there is some kind of pullback, you'll have to find an entry a little bit lower down. Right now for me, if it does pierce this level here, there's 24% left on Tron. So that is looking interesting. I would expect quite a big rejection at those highs. If you look at the chart, the way they did sell it the previous times, it pumped into that region. I suspect there's still a handful of guys that bought the top, and they're probably still holding that in that region, waiting for it to come back, and they can dump it back to you guys. So look out, any pushes there, 24% move potentially coming there. You just want to crack this weekly level. If you can crack the weekly level, it becomes beautiful support, and then you can use that to start longing from. Let's just see if we do have some pivots. While we're talking pivots and things like that, let's just take a look and see what Tron is giving us here at the moment. You can see it's crossed over a very tight monthly pivot, so that would have been a nice sign for you guys as well. If you were tracking Easy Algo on Tron, you would have seen nice tight monthly pivot. What is my confluence? Look at that, 50-day moving average as well. So that's monthly pivot support, 50-day MA support. So that is looking nice for Tron from a weekly perspective, and that is anything down to 0.13. So that is your lower down support. If you do get a rejection here in the zone, 0.13, and then upside, you know the drill. Okay, you got it. And now let's talk Injective. This one is always on. It's always a hot topic. I obviously love Injective. You know, I talk about this thing a hell of a lot. But blockchain 𝗕𝗓𝗏, okay, is giving us a plan for INJ, and it looks like he is sending this thing practically to zero. If you take a look at this, so I would say bullish on INJ. I think this chart is bullish on INJ, but look out here. I mean, she's putting out some lows here that looks to me like round about $9. Maybe $10. So maybe not that bullish at the moment, and still showing that there is potentially some downside. So I thought, well, let's take a look at Injective here and see if there's some kind of short-term setup and things like that that we can play around with. So right now, using regular TA without pivots and things like that, you can see what I like. And right now, you can see we've used up this 382 many times. Okay, we've had quite a few bounces off this region. Okay, so remember, the more you start tapping on an area, generally the weaker for me it will start getting. So I'm expecting, if there is upside on a bounce here off this 382, I'd say be very careful here at trend. So there's maybe just a small little move coming here on Injective before there is some kind of rejection here down to the 16 level. So for me on Injective, there's no new trade right now. It's had a couple of tests off this region. We know if you're sitting in Injective 17.5, that is support. We know that you can use that. Okay, if you are looking for a fresh trade, for me, I'm not diving into this one just yet. We'll wait and see if we can get some momentum off these areas. If it starts breaking a trend and things like that, then maybe there's a potential trade for me on Injective. But right now, I'm sitting this one out, namely because we've had 1, 2, 3, and we've had our fourth bounce now on the support level. So wondering if this thing is going to drift a little bit lower. So I'm just sitting out on this one, and we're going to see what happens here. So if we break the trend, there's a potential trade there on Injective. And if we dip lower, this is where I'm looking for trades. At around about 16, and that is just typically my 618. We're going to find other levels of confluence there as well when we do get to that zone. So I got my eyes on that for Injective. No trade just yet here for me. We have tried this. As you know, I've traded Injective a couple of times here, and we've used this one. We've used this up. And let's see if there's a little bit more weakness here. Let's see what type of pivots we have while we easy algoing. And you can see we've lost the weekly pivot and we've lost the daily pivots. Okay, so that is also a sign for us. We've now opened below these areas here, and we are potentially drifting lower. So if we're using the pivots as a guide, this will tell you when we reclaim these pivots, then we can start getting a little bit more bullish again. So right now for me, just being patient on Injective. Let's see what happens at 16. Okay. And we can always catch this thing later if this thing turns super aggressive. And this goes for all your altcoins that you're trading. If they turn super aggressive now randomly and you're not in these positions, remember, you can always catch up later. There's going to be some kind of pullback. There's going to be supports that you can play with. But if you are unsure on some of your tokens at the moment, maybe just sit back. Maybe just wait. Let things play out. We can always catch these moves later on. Okay, the market doesn't go away. It's here every single day for us. Now we've got tons to get through here, and let's fire up the rockets. Okay, Bitfunded trade. I still haven't taken my next Bitfunded trade, so I'm teeing up one of these three that I'm going to show you guys. One of these three is going to be my Bitfunded trade. And coincidentally, all the tokens I'm going to show you are memes. And coincidentally, all of them are teeing up pretty much exactly the same way. So I'm going to just pick one of them. I'm not going to try and long all of these guys. We're going to pick one. But the first one is what I gave you guys last week. I was speaking about this bonk on Friday. We were discussing bonk, and I was looking for some kind of pullback into the 786, the trend region as well, and this horizontal region. So for me, bonk looking okay here. For me, there's entries down 1707 down to 1660, 1707 down to 1660, and there's two stop loss options here for you guys. Number one, if you're playing super tight and you want to minimize your risk as much as possible, your first exit zone is 1630. Okay, your next exit zone, if you're trading spot or you're trading super low leverage, I'm talking like 2x, 3x type of thing, your next stop zone is 1542. Okay, if you're trading high leverage, be careful, 1629, 1630, that's stop number one. If you're trading low leverage or spot, 1542. Look out for these regions. Why do I think this is an interesting zone? Well, that would give us the double bottom play. Okay, that would give us the full Monty there, that full double bottom on bonk. You're going to see this thing teeing up and playing out with a lot of these other meme coins as well. But notable for me here, bonk pushing into the 786 fib. That is a big pull. That we know is generally a bounce area. And isn't this a nice reflection on how people are viewing meme coins at the moment? If you look at 𝗬𝗎, holding the 382. If you look at Injective, holding the 382. If you look at Bitcoin, for example, holding the 382. But you look at meme coins, bonk, and the others I'm going to show you, they're now pushing 786s. It tells us the guys are the retail not yet. They're not looking at these at the moment. But remember, the minute we get a guard candle out of BTC, these things are going to start moving. So let's watch this closely. And don't forget, if you are learning how to trade or you are new to trading, you want to know about things and you want to leverage trade, for example, you can always try Bitfunded. Now, I've just shown you the dashboard on Bitfunded, but basically, what is Bitfunded? You send them $49, you send them $99 or $49. They give you a $5,000 or a $10,000 demo account. You show them, you get 8%, you get to phase 2. You make 5%, they give you a funded account. They give you real money to trade with. You're going to keep 80 to 90% of those profits. So number one, get 8% from a trade. Number two, get 5% from a trade. And then they give you a funded account. So you can see here, I've passed stage 1. I'm now waiting for my stage 2. You can see it says demo, and then stage 3, they give you that live account. So that is now what we are waiting for. So I'm waiting for my next trade. It's either going to be bonk, okay, that one over there, or it's going to be Popcat, which I've teed up as well. And you can see how ridiculous is this that it looks exactly the same. We've got these rising trends on all of these meme coins. We've got the 786 coming into play, and we are melting down. Look at this nice little horizontal confluence. You can see I've set my alarm here on TradingView at the moment, and my alarm is set at 0.35 for Popcat. So looking for this dip for Popcat into the 786 fib. I'm going to look for some structure here, and that is where I'm looking for a bounce long. So this could take a day or two to play out. Maybe it's going to tie in with BTC on Wednesday when the jobs data comes out again, or the unemployment data comes out again. Maybe we're going to get some kind of market catalyst there, looking for some kind of structure in this region, and then looking for a nice little bounce. Now, we're not trying to be too fussy here, but we know things like Popcat can bounce 44% in a day or 44% in a couple of hours. And that for me takes us to that 100-day moving average. So for me, Popcat entries around about 35 is what I'm waiting for. Let's be patient. Let it drift lower. Let it come to us. We'll come. Let it come down to us. Let it come to our zone. And let's take a look at some easy algo. Look at this. And is Power still here? He is still here. And these double blue lines, this has got to tell me something. Are you still here? Look at this. These double
Absolutely.
blues. What are these
Absolutely.
double blues?
Double blue on, so you'll have, if you've turned them on the weekly and the daily, depending on if they're the length of the weekly, that's your weekly support one, and previous week low. If you're on the daily, previous day support one, previous day low.
So just a little bit of extra confidence. So I've got the macro trend. That's a massive trend pool. I've got a 786. I've got the horizontals, and then I've got your easy algo weekly low. Okay, so there's a couple of levels of confluence here in that region that tells me look for structure here. Look for them to hit the brakes in the zone. This is where they're going to put the brakes on. You can sniff around in this area, and then maybe you get some kind of trend break out of that thing. You can add, and then we can send this thing. So that is my game plan there on PopCat. Exactly the same on Bonk. Okay, you can see Bonk 786, PopCat 786, and look at this little banger as well. We've got Brett doing the same thing. These meme coins, I mean, it's actually uncanny. Power, they all look the same. We got this rising trend here as well. And look at this thing. Here's our rising trend, same as all the others. And we had our dump low into that trend region. And now we've got the 786 getting teed up. Now look at this. Interesting. Look at the stochastic RSI here on the 8 hour. Completely oversold here on the 8 hour. Let's see what it looks like on the 4 hour. Pinging the oversold region on the 4 hour. Let's look at the 12. 12 hours bottomed out. Let's see at the daily. Daily is nearly bottomed out. So that is telling me one more push here from Brett. Okay, give us.
If you break 74 or 074, which is daily support 2, you could be looking to come down to 071 and then get a bounce from there. It literally is just breaking weekly support 1, and but on the daily you're bouncing perfectly off support 2 right now. On the daily. I can see your other support. I think it's support 1 or 2 here that I've highlighted at 71. And that is just above the 786 zone. So, you know, the stars are maybe aligning here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Let this thing melt down. You can see the picture. Now, we know when you get a meltdown like this in the market, when these things bleed and bleed and bleed, they generally respond on a fib. Okay, we generally pick up that they react and they bounce off a 618 or a 786 or the low. They go and visit that double bottom low, and then you get some kind of reaction. Now, we can't say how big the reaction is. We can't say how huge it is. It could be a tiny little bounce before they come and end it, but it also could be quite an aggressive little bounce there. It depends on how the market is going to play out. So what I like to do is just identify these hot zones, and I know the 786 can provide us with some kind of aggression on occasion. So guys, pick your poison here. It's Brett at 0.070 region. Okay, looking for structure there. Look for a bounce. We're looking for a breakout. We're looking for something. We're sniffing around that area. That's number 1. It's PopCat, number 2. 0.35 could be a banger here as well. And then Bonk, okay, down to 0. I gave you those numbers. 0.1705 down to, it was 0.166, give or take. So these are possible trades brewing here for us, and we'll tie in nicely with some kind of bounce here on the market. I think it could be quite aggressive here. And then naturally, protect yourselves, use stop losses. You don't want to go massive size stop losses on these meme coins. And remember, you don't want to go massive leverage either. These things are incredibly volatile, okay? Ray, are you agreeing? Are you nodding your head? Just be careful. Okay, you don't want to massive leverage meme coins here, guys. Okay, these things. Remember, PopCat bounced 160% on that recovery bounce. Okay, in a single candle, this thing can go up 10 or down 10%, and absolutely rinse you out if you're trading 10x, 20x, those types of things. So keep it spot, keep it simple, keep the position size small. Let the momentum take you. Okay, we got the momentum. You can always add and, start playing the game later. And then I've got 2 tokens power. Thanks. I appreciate that you keep coming back and hanging out. I was just going to say to the fact of that leverage play, if you join through the 3-day free trial, you get to keep the free risk reward calculator for the rest of life. That's that. So when for those of you that aren't sure how to handle leverage, don't know how to use it safely, or afraid of getting wrecked, we have a risk reward calculator that shows you how to never risk more than 2% of your total portfolio. You can mess up 50 trades before you go broke and do it safely and maximize the leverage. There's a how-to video right in the link. Grab the free trial. Get the free reward calculator, and you can keep that thing for life and make sure you're not getting screwed anymore.
Banger. Thank you. I've got 2 of your community charts that you guys remember after the show. In the comments, drop the charts you want to see. Ray looks through them for me, and he tells me, he instructs me what I need to chart. And one of them today that I've got for you is OM. And I was just laughing at Raz's Gaming. Raz Gaming says, I like Dylan when he say tone of shitcoin. Absolute shitcoin. I hope you guys like it. And they're all shitcoins, aren't they? And here is OM. Okay, so this was a request from you guys. Except Celestia. And fundamentally, Celestia, XRP, I'm just in it for the tech. I'm totally in it for the tech. Okay, OM. Okay, this was one of your requests from yesterday. Remember, just leave it in the comments what you want. I'll cover 2 or 3 tomorrow as well. You can see OM, nice little bleed out now. So we had a big pump. You can see what's going on here. What I've done simply here is I've highlighted a couple of fib zones of interest. Where can you get a bounce? Where can you get some kind of reaction? And you can see we are slowly creeping into a hot zone. Isn't this interesting? Another token here with a 786 coming into play here for us. This could be an interesting one. So look out over here for OM, looking for some kind of structure here. Maybe you're going to get some kind of pop in this region. Look out there. And then you have a little bit lower support. You've got 0.715. This is your 200-day MA. That's a potential bounce zone. And then I have to say, a higher conviction play for me, but this is going to take, you're not going to be happy. Okay, the market's going to be melting down. It's going to be a sad day. Okay, but there's going to be a potential long over here on this OM. So if they do start bleeding us up, these are your options: 7978, 7125, and then down here 6165. Okay, like this little region here, that looks like a little banger in that zone. So just play it safe. You can see there's a nice bleed out. Inevitably, we get a nice recovery bounce. The late shorters, they come in, they overdo it. They increase their leverage on their shorts. And what happens? There's a bounce. They get rinsed out and there's a nice little pump. So look out for a move like that on OM. Those are your levels. Those are the areas I would expect some kind of bounce. And you can see we are tracking a very steep downtrend here. So at some point, this trend is going to get broken with quite a vicious little bounce here, I would expect. That's a very sharp downtrend we're watching there at the moment. And then another request from you guys was WIF. Okay, so also another meme coin. It was a request from you. I know I've killed you guys with meme coins today, but WIF also looking interesting and trying to bleed out to the 786 as well. Are these guys going to try and front run some of these 786s? So very similar look here for me. WIF 1.26 looking interesting here. So right now we can see WIF is actually dancing around the sniper zone. What is the sniper zone? The sniper zone is effectively the 618 fib and a little band just underneath it, because we know it likes to react on a 618, but we can't always get it perfectly. Sometimes they float around that area. Sometimes that is where you see some kind of structure here, and that's that little sniper zone there. So you can see WIF is trying to hold our little sniper zone. Let's see if it does get a little bit of momentum here. You're going to look to print some higher lows here before this thing fires off. But right now for me, higher conviction, 786 looks like where they ultimately want to send it. You can see there's a bit of a clue here. They have given you a new low over here. Let's see if this thing doesn't aggressively start pushing up. I would expect some kind of reversal back down. So for me, 1.26 on WIF, that is a nice little area. That's a potential zone there. You're looking for some consolidation. That's going to tie in with a ton of these other meme coins as well, maybe pulling down onto their 786s. So things are looking interesting from that front. Okay, it would be nice to get some kind of bounce at some point. It's been a challenging couple of days since that big dump. Everyone got euphoric again. What did we get? We got 160% moves on PopCat. We got 45% on Sol. We got 40% on AVAX. You got like 2% on XRP, 1% on ADA or something like that. But you get the gist of it. And everyone got excited again. They thought we were okay. And what happens typically? They come and bleed us back down. And then that's where you start watching 618. You start looking at double bottoms and those type of plays. So guys, you've got it. You know my bias. You know what I'm looking at. I think long term, and I'm talking the next couple of months, we got to be bullish on BTC. There's too many clues out there to tell us that that bottom is not necessarily the bottom is in forever, but there's signs out there that tell us that we should be expecting some kind of pumpage. That is what I'm looking for. That is how I'm planning it. I'm buying spot on these DCA levels. I'm looking for leverage trades on the good zones. We're looking for structure. If you want to find out more, hang out with me on Sniper Club. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Catch you guys later.